Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite bag of all time, and that is my Louis Vuitton Capucines bag. And I didn't know this was going to be my holy grail until I got it. So I'm interested in knowing, what is your holy grail bag? Because sometimes, like, until you need it, it's not it, you know? And sometimes you think you have a holy grail bag and then you get it and you're like, it's not so great. So let me know, what is your holy grail bag? Put it in the comments below, because I'm always so interested in knowing, because there's so many bag options out there. You know, I just love to know what's on your list. So today is going to be my review of the Louis Vuitton Capucines mini bag. Mine is in particular called the Mini Me, and it comes with this little cutie. That's what it's dubbed as. So I'm gonna put this down for a second, but I'm gonna show you why I find this one actually pretty useful. So this is the banana color. So this is a very soft yellow color, very buttercream yellow, and very complimentary on my skin tone. And I'm kind of wearing a yellow shirt on purpose just for this review. But I don't necessarily, I'm not a matchy-matchy person when it comes to matching this bag. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna insert some footage later on in the video with different ways that you can wear this bag. So just to give you a quick tour of this bag, this is a grained leather called Banana. Again, as I mentioned, a very soft, buttery yellow color. It's got cream trim on the edges, along the edges right here and here, along the handles. It's got feet. It's got very shiny gold hardware all throughout, and it is a beautiful, beautiful bag. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you some pros and cons as I see it, and I'm also gonna share with you some mod shots as I mentioned, and I'm also gonna show you what fits inside. So the first thing I'm going to mention is the leather. Now, Louis Vuitton previously has always been known for, obviously, its canvas, but it also only had a very limited selection of their leathers. And we all know them to be the Epi leather, the Empreinte leather, and the Vernis leather. The Vernis leather is so beautiful. In my opinion, there's no other patent leather that is as beautiful and as good as the Vernis leather, but that's besides the point. Now Louis Vuitton, I feel like, offers so many different kinds of leathers and finishes and options, and it makes it so much more interesting and exciting. For this particular bag, I'm gonna put on the screen some of the details that's listed on the Louis Vuitton site, just because I can't remember it all offhand, but it is a beautiful grained leather, and it is so hardy and thick and just a beautiful, beautiful finish. I'm also going to include a really short clip of a client advisor I was speaking to when I was in store last year looking at another variation of this mini bag, and she shared with me some interesting facts that I didn't know about. So I'm going to include it right here.
I'll give you a little backstory on the Capucine too. So it's named after the street that the first Louis Vuitton store in Paris opened on. So it was Rue de Capucines.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, there are 250 individual steps to make each Capucine. And it really harkens back to so many different parts of our brand history. So the hardware here on the sides, this is the same hardware we use on our watch faces. So everything.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Everything about this bag is just LV through and through. And then over time, the leather will soften enough that you can actually wear it with the flap over the front. It will lay flat, and then you'll just get the little blossom on the outside.
Oh my God.
Which I think is so cute.
This thing is so beautiful.
6,750, yes.
And it has feet.
It does. And these are such pieces for forever. Like,
yeah. Now, one of the beautiful things about the Capucines bag is that there are so many different options, so many different leathers, finishes, and even exotics. And it really makes it very exciting when you see another option of the Capucines bag and you're like, oh my God, it just gets more and more beautiful. And yes, they're not all gonna be your cup of tea, but it's just so interesting how artistically they make some of these bags, and that's what makes it really exciting, at least for me. Now, I will admit that the Capucines bags was not something that's always been on my list. I only caught the bug maybe like 2 years ago. Now, this bag's been around for 10 or maybe 11 years by this point. And the reason for that is probably because when they first released the Capucines line, it was offered in the PM and the MM sizes, if I'm recalling correctly. And those sizes just seemed too big and too bulky for me. And it also seemed a little bit too formal. Once they came out with the mini sizes and then I saw all the variations and then I started kind of becoming a lot more interested, I was like, wow. So offering it in the mini size was such a benefit for me and was really probably what piqued my interest a little bit more. One update that they've done is that they've updated where they put the D-rings on the hardware to the sides of the bag. And that for me is a game changer. Previously in some of the older models, they had the D-rings on the insides of the bag, which often got in the way of putting things in and out of the bag, but also it just aesthetically, I don't really love the way straps hang from the bag diagonally. So once they updated it and put it on the sides, I think that makes a really big difference aesthetically and just functionally in terms of where it's rubbing on the bag and just the overall wear and tear. So I'm not going to address the wear and tear of this bag because I've had this bag for just under 3 months at this point, but I will say that in terms of what I've seen from some of the larger size bags is the wear and tear is a little bit better on the mini size, because what I've seen, and you can see it a lot on the pre-loved market, is that sometimes you can see there's like this ridge on the leather that you can see on the larger bags, and I don't love that. I don't mind it, but I don't love it. And I seem to notice that a lot less on the smaller bags like the mini size. So I think that's kind of worth mentioning if you're considering some of the larger sizes. But as we're talking about the mini size, I will say it is such a perfect size. Just to give you a sense of relativity, I'm 5'2", and this mini size is perfect on me. I will also say that this particular bag comes with a wide strap. Now, one of the drawbacks of the wide strap, as far as I've seen on other bags as well with wide straps, is that they are not adjustable. So the benefit of having this particular strap is that it is so comfortable. I find it really comfortable. It's super malleable. It's not a stiff type of leather, so it really does mold to your body and it lays really comfortably. Because it's a mini size, it's not super heavy, even if you pack it to the maximum. You're only limited to a certain amount, obviously, so it's not a heavy bag at all. It is very manageable, especially from a person like me who's got chronic neck and shoulder issues. That's a big concern for me, and weight is definitely a not concern for me with this particular bag. As I was saying about this particular strap, this is not adjustable. It has these beautiful gold metal hardware of the fleur-de-lis on the ends, and it is so beautiful. It's on both sides, so when the strap twists around or when you're attaching it, it doesn't matter which side is which, you'll see the beautiful design on both sides. And you'll see the small hooks that attach to the ends of the strap. Now, as I was saying, there's so many different variations of this bag, even in the mini size. So you can find a bag with this type of thick strap, but you can also find it with thinner straps, like a thin leather strap. You can also find it with the intertwined leather and chain strap, and then there's just a leather strap at the very ends for your shoulder to make it more comfortable. There's also these beautiful ornate chains that I have seen that can be part of the bag. So there's so many different varieties. So it's not just the different leathers and finishes and things like that, but there's different straps that really make the bag so interesting. Not to mention, they sometimes have different handles, whether it be exotic handles or enamel or just totally different designs, and it's so gorgeous, and I think that's what makes the Capucines so special. Another benefit of this bag, especially in the mini size, is that it goes from day to night very easily. And so I think that's what really makes it so much more versatile and flexible to be able to use this and be wearable in so many different ways. And that for me is such a great thing, because not every bag can go from day to night. Some bags just really are day bags. Some bags are really just strictly evening bags, but a girl who can do both is definitely a winner. So I really, really love that. So one of the things that I really don't love about this bag is that there's a divider in the middle. Now, given the size of this bag, it really kind of inhibits what you can put in the bag. You really have to kind of fiddle around and just be able to position things in carefully so that they actually do fit. So if you have a compact wallet that happens to be like really thick because you stuff it with tons of cards and things like that, then you may not be able to fit it in because you really only have half the width of this bag to be able to tuck it in securely. So that is something to note. And again, not one of my favorite features, but it is what it is. The other thing that is obvious about this bag that is a con is the price. The price is crazy, okay? It is not a cheap bag. Now, I know a lot of people say you can get it for a fraction of the price on the pre-loved market. Based on what I've seen, I wouldn't call it a fraction of the price. You can definitely save some money for sure, but you're not getting it for like half off. I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, as far as what I've seen, you're not gonna get it for like 50% off or 40% off, at least not in the small size and the mini and the ones that I have looked at in the past. So you might find some gems where you could find it for a good price, especially maybe the larger sizes. But as far as I can tell from what I've seen, the mini sizes are still quite expensive, even on the pre-loved market. So that's strictly my opinion. Obviously, that has a lot to do with the condition it's in as well. So it'll depend on that. And the retail price, of course, is very, very expensive. So that is definitely a drawback. It's definitely something that really prohibits me from going ham and getting multiples of these. Now, I will say that I don't typically get multiples of the same silhouette of any bag. I've done that once, and that's with the Fendi baguette, because I just have a love affair with the Fendi baguette. But the other exception that I would probably make for that in getting a duplicate of the same silhouette of bag and even size is the Capucines. It's just that good. I will say that my next one, if I get one, is going to be something that is just a little bit more ornate, a little bit more artistic, and just a little bit more intricate in its design, because I like having this one because this is cute and quirky, but still very, very wearable. And I think the other one, it would have to give me that feeling of like, oh, gotta have it type of feeling. So we'll see. But it's not a cheap bag. It's definitely very pricey, and so that really does suck. Another thing I'll kind of classify as being a con is that you can't buy this online. So let's say that you find the perfect one and you're like, oh, let me just add to cart, click out and check out. It's not like that. So on the Louis Vuitton site, for instance, if you found like a push-up Matisse, and you know how they come in different leathers or canvases and color options, you can see it all laid out there. Even if it's out of stock, you can see it all laid out there. For the Capucines line, for some reason, they don't list them all online. Every once in a while, I will see a Capucine that's very special, a little bit more intricate rather than just the regular leathers. But for the most part, you'll find some of their classic colors online that you can see and just view, but you can't see all the options. So you don't really know what's out there unless you go into a boutique and you ask to see the Capucines, and then you're like, oh my God, I had no idea that was even an option. So that kind of makes things a little bit difficult to know what your choices are, and I don't really love that. But when I do go to a different city, if I'm traveling, for instance, I do like to go into a Louis Vuitton. I always like to see what the Capucine options are, because sometimes things are limited to certain regions or cities or stores. And so it's kind of fun to see what the different options out there are. So it's a little bit of a hunt in some ways, but it does kind of suck that you can't just buy it when you want to. What you'll see is that it says contact concierge or contact your client advisor or something to that effect to be able to purchase a bag. So if you are after a certain bag and you are in store and you see something that you love but you're not quite ready to pull the trigger on it, I would recommend that you take a picture of the product code to make sure that you can look it up online, and then you can also give that product code to your SA when you go back home. And let's say you decide you want to buy it, then you can actually share the product code, and then they'll know exactly which bag you're talking about. So something that I find helpful sometimes is to kind of visualize the size relative to another bag. So if you have a Fendi mini peekaboo, this is kind of a good visual to give you an idea of how it compares side by side. So you'll see that the Capucines is just a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller in length compared to the Fendi mini peekaboo. And also in terms of the base and the width, it's the tiniest bit more narrow, but it's still a decent width. So that might give you a good idea of how it compares to another bag you might have in your collection. I love the fact that it's just a little bit smaller than the peekaboo because it's just a little bit daintier. So one of the hacks I wanted to share with you is that if you do have a Fendi mini peekaboo, it probably came with a raincoat. Now I will admit that I don't use a raincoat on the mini peekaboo because I find that it doesn't come all the way down. I feel like if it was just the tiniest bit longer, it completely covers, but it does this like weird thing, like almost like you have a shirt that's a little too short on you and shows a little too much belly, that sort of thing. I feel like it gives you that really awkward length. So what I do is I use it for my Capucines. And the reason that idea came to me was because I had been caught in the rain a couple of times with this bag. So I've worn this a lot in Hawaii when I first got it, and I was caught in the rain there once and I had to put a plastic bag over it because I was concerned about the leather. I've also worn this a bunch at home, and I got caught in the rain with this as well, and I was like, ugh, I felt like I need a solution because sometimes you can't help but get caught in the rain and it's just not predictable. So I was like, what could be a good solution? Oh, well, that's where the little cutie comes in handy. So I've always been like, you know, I really kind of tested this out in terms of what I could fit in here. In fact, I will insert some footage of what actually fits in this cutie and also what fits in the mini Capucines bag. So let's go through that now. So as far as what fits in here, one of the things that I was concerned about is like, is this flap going to be annoying? And actually it's not, because it's very easy to just flip this flap over the handle and it just stays open like that, so you can just freely dip your hands in and out as you need to. So that actually is not a problem at all. But as far as what fits inside, it's a decent amount, and I'll insert some B-roll of things that I typically fit in. Now obviously it's not going to fit everything in your kitchen sink, but as far as your necessities on the daily basis, like phone, wallet, keys, that sort of thing, and glasses, that totally fits for me every day. Now my phone is the iPhone 13 regular, and it fits perfectly when you lay it down sideways, and you can easily get it in and out of the bags. But as I said, I use this cutie for a very specific purpose. Now, yes, you can absolutely fit in a tiny little lip gloss, a tiny little Tic Tac, but what I mainly use this for is to carry my Fendi raincoat. And it just pops out like this. It fits in here as you just saw very easily, and it comes in this little plastic bag, and you slip it out and it looks a little something like this. It obviously has a little outline picture of the Fendi peekaboo. So I'm gonna show you what I mean by how it looks on the Fendi, which is what it's meant for. So this is how it fits on the Fendi Peekaboo. And as you can see, there's like the slightest bit of leather showing. Is it a big deal? No, it's not. But if it's raining sideways, then that I think would bother me. So I've never used this raincoat on this bag, if I'm being completely honest. However, I would absolutely use it on my Capucines bag. And this is how it looks on the Capucines bag, which is perfect because it goes just past the bottom of the bag and it completely covers the body of the bag. So you can carry it like this. It'll be completely covered. There's a flap so rain can't rain on the inside of the bag, but it just works perfectly. And I really find that it's perfect because I can just fold it up and put it in my little cutie instead of using up valuable real estate space inside of my mini bag. So that is a really cute hack and very useful and functional in my opinion. I would use this. If I got caught in the rain, I think that's a great solution. I'm also going to include some different outfits of me wearing this bag just to give you an idea of how this bag looks on my body frame and also how it looks with different types of clothing. And the reason I'm including that is because I know that sometimes, at least I thought in the beginning when I first saw the Capucines, I thought it was a very formal bag and I thought you can only wear it to like business lunches or work things or, you know, something very formal or proper or professional. And for the mini size, at least, I don't find that that's the case at all. In fact, I find it to be pretty versatile, as I said. So I'm including some mod shots of how it looks with different types of clothing pieces, just to give you an idea of how versatile this bag can be and how it looks with jeans, let's say, or a dress or that sort of thing. So that is my review slash first impressions of this bag. I love it so much. Again, this is my holy grail bag. I had no idea how much I was gonna love it until I actually got it. And it is such a lovely and beautiful and classy bag, but it's not too classy. Like, I don't think it's only for a certain type of look. And I just really find it to be fun and it's really versatile and it's just so beautiful. And so let me know, what is your holy grail bag? I'm interested in knowing because there's so many different options out there. And it's always fun to see what's on everyone else's lists. So let me know that in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love it if you can give it a thumbs up. That really helps my small channel out. And if you're interested in seeing any of my other videos, you can do that here. And I will see you next time.